Hi everyone, welcome back to another exciting and inspiring episode of On Location with Zara Durrani, produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. We are so excited to be here at Charles Van Sandwyk in Gastown in the heart of downtown Vancouver. This beautiful, beautiful store. Great gift ideas here, especially for the holidays. Joining me right now is a very talented and beautiful young actress. You may recognize her from some very fabulous shows. I watched her in this show that I binge watched while in Bali, and my internet was not even working. Like, it would load and stop and load and stop. Altered Carbon. It was a thunderstorm out there, and I'm watching this show. Very well done. At the time that they filmed, I believe it was one of the most expensive per episode show that was done here in Vancouver, and they created a new studio like out in Delta and Surrey area. And she's in Fire Country and so many exciting projects to talk about. We're going to talk to her about her inspiration, her journey, her career. And Lisa Chandler, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My
great.
pleasure.
Thank you. This is beautiful, by the way.
Right?
I love the store. This is stunning. It's so Christmassy. I love it.
It's holiday season on fire.
Yeah.
I want to say CRAC, but
I get where you're going at. But it's amazing. It's so cute, quaint. I feel like I stepped into like Glasgow or something. It's amazing.
It's such a vibe, and I feel like with the little chic grandma like lamp over here, it's creating this
adorable
vibe where we're in a Hallmark movie set.
Yep.
And
it does feel like a set. It really does.
Like either of us are gonna like fall in love and find people.
I'll probably walk out with about 4 cards and a couple trinkets too. So that's not good. It will happen.
There'll be like a florist shop, and you'll be like, oh yes, our hands. You know, your hands touch.
Yes, I know, and it's like the whole moment,
cute.
the music. It's so sweet and endearing. Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I know you're really busy. We're so excited to have you here, and you know, most of the people I get to bring on the show I've met in person. So like some people like you don't, and I've had a few of those. So I'm so excited to have you here, and the fact that we haven't even spoken on the phone, but
I know, just the text
I was
messaging
like,
back
oh my
and
God,
forth.
so amazing. Followed you on Instagram.
Yes.
So have you always lived in Vancouver? How long have you lived here?
Yeah, so I was living in Ontario, Toronto for many, many years, and then came out here. I moved out here actually right during the Olympics, 2010. So that was a time to
be in Vancouver.
See Vancouver, the hype of it.
The vibe was
It was amazing. Oh yeah, just
the city,
the energy,
alive.
You know, with all the athletes and all the countries were here. It was a really good exposure to, really good advertisement for Vancouver, really. But yeah, so I was out here in 2010, lived out here, was doing film, and then I went back to Toronto to kind of get it out of my system because I have a soft spot for Toronto. And then came back here in about 2016, so I've been here ever since. Yeah.
Amazing, and doing great. Vancouver's certainly embracing you.
It's treating me well. I can't complain. It's been highs and lows for sure, especially in the film industry. You know, there's strikes happening. There's Save BC Film. There's all these, you know, like I said, highs and lows of what's happening with the industry. But you know, it's treated me very well. I cannot complain. So.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Vancouver.
And you worked on some very exciting shows, like big Hollywood shows that come to the city, and you know, and we're so grateful that finally we can talk about this. Strike is over. We're going back to
semi, but yes.
I mean, friends are working on The Good Doctor. You know, I think they start filming today.
Yeah.
Fire Country.
Yeah, they're back.
Yes.
They're back. Yeah, there's a lot of shows. Vancouver is just very diverse because you can make it look like so many different states, so many different countries. So it's got that je ne sais quoi about it, and the same time zone as LA. So it kind of helps with business and the climate. It's just easy to shoot in the winter here. It's raining. It's not, you know, minus 20 like Toronto is.
I was looking at France's Instagram stories and the snowstorms, or in Montreal. My cousin bought a place in Montreal. Her balcony is like covered in snow.
Oh, it can be insane.
What? And we have like sunshine over the weekend.
I know. I think
yesterday or like the day before was so warm.
It was actually. Yes. You're right. But I think they say White Rock is the sunniest place in in BC, I believe it is. Yeah, and there's no sun, but it's crazy. Sometimes you're just like, this is December? What? Like people are in running shorts and, T-shirts, and you're like, okay. It doesn't feel like the average part of Canada as people think.
I can get down with that. Or then I see my friends in Florida. I'm like, excuse me? You're wearing T-shirt and shorts to walk your dog? I have a dog. I have an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him in your videos. He's adorable. I got a Border Collie Blue Heeler, so I get where you're coming
from.
from.
We need to introduce our dog.
Know.
Where do you? I mean, we'll talk about.
We'll chat about that. What park do you do?
So I love everyone who comes on the show, whether a performer or not. I love having performers on the show. Like, it's my personal connection to. Yeah, I love.
Well, you're a performer. You're so I totally understand.
But I love deeply connecting and understanding. What got you into it. Also, the struggles of having Charles on the show earlier, his store that we're filming at that. He talked about rejection and how he's like, he loves collecting rejection letters. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? He's like, I have a cabinet of rejection letters. I love collecting them.
Right.
And he's like, it's like a thing. So I love getting into the nitty and gritty
conversations
Yeah. Did you always know you wanted to be an actor or a performer? Was this your calling? When did you wake up and you're like, I'm going to do this?
I don't know. No, I didn't have that moment kind of thing. I think it just happens for me over, being a kid. You have a realization of theater for me. I'm strictly talking about my situation, but just doing some plays here and there and be like, oh, you can get paid to do this? This is what you earn money? Oh, okay. So it took a while for me to actually click. I thought people just did it for fun. And then I just realized, okay, this is something I'm really wanting to pursue. But I didn't fully pursue it as a career until I would say mid-20s, early 20s, and just really putting the nose down and just kind of grinding it, doing the whole audition situation, getting the agent, hustling it, going on a bus,
and this is
having a car
Toronto?
breakdown. This is Toronto here, back and forth, mostly in Toronto at the beginning. And I was also playing women's hockey, and so I was trying to balance the two at the same time. Yeah, and it was really challenging financially and just timeline, trying to figure out how to make it to the rink, how to make an audition. I remember going into the CBC building, and Peter Mansbridge was in the elevator. There's two separate elevators. There's one elevator that was just for staff and all the anchors, and then there was a regular elevator, and that's also where they had the film school. So he used to go into the elevators and go up to the auditions. And I remember, I think their elevator was out or something that day, so he hopped into just, I don't want to say the regular elevator, but the other elevator. I remember standing there going, Peter Mansbridge, oh my gosh, okay. And I remember he was saying, what are you here for an audition? I was like, I am actually. And he's like, well, break a leg. And he did one of these things. And I was like, okay.
I'm not gonna wash my hands.
Okay.
Breathe in some of that energy. Give me
I was like,
some of the good
okay,
vibes.
all right, yeah. So it was like, oh, okay. So I'm in the city. It's happening. Things are, ideas are flowing. So, yeah, it was. I wouldn't say that I had that moment where I woke up I'm going to do this. I think it was just years of
gradual.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like for me it was kind of similar. I grew up in Pakistan, so there it was kind of how to put it. More people, if someone's family was in the entertainment industry, then they did it, or if you came from money.
Right.
Then it was a hobby, just a fun, passionate thing that you would do, so it wasn't like if you're coming from middle class or whatever. You
wouldn't get the idea to just pursue that.
Yeah, this is something. So I performed from a very young age, and I remember having the love me.
Yeah, absolutely.
They love me. They really, please love me,
Yeah.
Or no. But, just when you're on a stage, the high that you get, but
it's massive.
never ever thinking that this could be a thing, that this was just a hobby. This is just back in the day, a silly little,
Absolutely.
Over there in my home country is doctor, engineer, lawyer, nurse.
Right.
Or in the
realm.
Yeah. In that, that those are the things, that's what you aim for. It wasn't until I came to Canada at 17 but again, super accidental. And it's also like some of the inner stuff of like obstacles or beliefs, and believing that you're worthy of getting paid for what you love, and you're talented and good at that, you can charge well for what you do.
Yes. So did you have somebody in your family that was in entertainment at all?
No, that was what I was going to ask you. Was anyone in your family creative? Because I am the first person in my family to be doing what I'm doing.
And branching out.
Yes.
Completely.
And also, like, I was living in Paris for a while, and, did like other places. And I think there's sometimes, so for example, I was really called to Charles's store because he writes these children books that are for adults. And it's very much about the fantasy and opening your imagination, which as an artist, as a performer, when you're doing all these different roles and being other than Lisa Chandler.
Yeah.
I love your last name, by the way.
Thank you.
I just think, Chandler Bing.
That's the reference. Everyone's like, oh, how do you spell that? I'll be on the phone, and I'll be like, Chandler. And they're like, Chandler? And I'm like, no, Chandler Bing. And they're like, oh, I get it. Okay. And then they get it.
Could you be any more funnier?
Yeah. God bless him.
I know.
That hit home when he passed. That really did. There's two people, I feel like, in the industry that really, it was a zinger for me. It was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was. I was at my dining room table and I saw it pop up on my phone or whatever, and Matthew Perry. Yeah. Those were two big ones. I think just, growing up, you put on movies that make you feel a certain way, and Robin Williams is one of those, individuals that he just had a certain style of his humor, the way he just talked to people. I don't know. There was just something about him you can't really explain. So it just hit. It felt like a bit of my childhood kind of like disappeared when he passed in a way.
I cried.
Yeah.
Like, and Mrs. Doubtfire watched in Pakistan when I was like,
Hook.
Yeah. And he is like someone like whose imagination and creativity and like, no bounds. So for you, it's funny you asked me that first, but I was curious, was someone in your family creative?
Right. My dad is very creative. Actually, both my parents are very creative, but my dad, he's a sculptor and a visual arts painter. My mom's very creative too. She can write a story. She's very creative in the way of just, she could sit down kind of like yourself, sit down, have a conversation, but be engaging in a way that it comes across as a story, and it comes across as she's listening to you, but she's making it flow so easy. She does writing. Anyways, both my parents are, I would say, creative. As for making it into a career, no, they both did not do that. They were both in the nursing industry for a long time. But my dad has his own stuff on the side of sculpting and painting, and he used to do fireplace molds. He would carve them, and then he would do what's it called? The gold tissue. I forget the name of it, but he would put the gold around, and he would burn it, and
to make it antique.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and then
beautiful.
We used to do ceiling, big paintings on the ceiling. He used to have scaffolding up and do paintings on the ceiling. And my aunt's actually very creative as well. His sister, make greeting cards, very similar to Charles actually. So when I walked in, I was like, oh, this is cute, this is sweet.
You can get some holiday cards from here.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
I'll walk out with 2 bags full.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say both my parents have a little bit of a creative streak in them. Yeah, for sure.
So it's sort of like planted the seed and perhaps opened the door. And playing hockey, like I've lived in Canada for so long, but I think I've gone like on an ice rink maybe twice.
Either you're in it or you're not in it. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not for everyone, But yeah.
So what was it like playing in a women's hockey? That sounds so exciting.
I first started out playing boys, as a lot of us girls did here in Canada, and just kind of, stayed with the boys for as long as they could. And then slowly there's, women's teams that opened up, when you're 12, 13, 14, 15, especially if you live in a small town. So yeah, I played when I was about 6, I think I started, and then I figure skated for 1 year, switched over to hockey because my brother, obviously, is competition. You got to follow your older brother.
And you're like, I'm going to show you. I will go toe to toe.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think what happened was they needed a goalie. The goalie was sick or something. It was, I don't know, it might have been like a 10. The goalie was sick. I filled in. They're like, all right, you're in, kid. Threw me in, and the rest was history. I was a goalie for about 17 years. About that, yeah.
That's so cool. I honestly admire that because I think it's sometimes when I go to these, like, you know, community center, like on Denman or Robson.
Oh, I love that little rink. That's a great rink.
I've been to that when it was like our holiday thing last year or the year before, and I'm going with like a bunch of friends, and they're like, it's okay, I'm not that great either, and they're like twirling and like doing
just
these,
ripping it up, and just cutting it everywhere.
And everyone's taking turns to like hold my hand, and they're like, you can do it, honey, you can do it. And then I went around like by myself, and I was like, oh my God, the first time I was so proud. Only like the first time, and my friend is just like right there, but I was so afraid of like just fall. But I admire people who can play hockey, because since doing that, and then going to a Canucks game and like seeing how these people, where it's just, they're just dancing, they're just like, it's like breathing, it's like just so natural, like, you know, running after the puck. I'm like, oh my God, they're not afraid of injuring and like falling.
But if that was your first time, that's pretty good. So go easy on yourself. That's amazing. Yeah, I was gonna say, were you on figure skates or hockey skates?
Oh, whatever. I think whatever that they give out at the Denman.
They might have given you figure skates.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are a bit, I find, more challenging.
Okay.
Actually, so
I don't really know the difference. And then my friends actually like, oh, they aren't really tight enough, so they were so kind. They like tightened up my.
They cinched them up for you?
And I was like, oh my God, this is so tight, and I couldn't imagine. I mean, wow, like I guess for you it's just in your body. It's like riding a bike now.
Exactly. When you're so young, you don't really know any different. So
I guess it's the same as snowboarding and
swimming or something, right? You get chucked in the lake or you're thrown overboard on the boat. You know how to swim once. You're gonna keep swimming again. It's not gonna kind of leave you. So it's the same thing.
Have you ever played like a character who plays hockey in like a movie or a TV show?
Yeah. So one of my first stunts that I did actually, I was playing out in Calgary.
You did a stunt?
Yeah. And they asked me. This movie came to town and they needed a bunch of female hockey players. So they asked our coach if on certain days when we weren't playing, if they could steal, I think there was like 4 of us from the team, and we went over and we shot a bunch of stunt sequences, and that was like my first kind of eye into like the stunt film industry, the whole bit of it.
And it's pretty good pay. Like stunts make.
Camera was like on the ice moving around. They had like it locked onto a chair and they were sliding it everywhere. It was amazing. It was really, really cool. So that was where I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is the calm of it all. Yeah, this is interesting. So yeah, it was a lot of fun actually seeing the whole. I've never seen the behind the scenes of a TV show or a film production. So that was like my first hit of it, and I was like, this is interesting. This is different, because I was kind of used to the theater world. So it was really cool. I just remember there was a bunch of cable cords everywhere on the ice, and I was like, well, how am I supposed to skate? There's cable cords everywhere.
Hazard waiting to happen.
You just have a small area. Just fake it till you make it. I'm like, well, there's cords. Oh, what am I gonna? I'm gonna cut them.
Where's the applause? Like, where's my audience?
Yeah. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, it was a really cool intro into the film world, really. And I was probably about 17 then. Yeah, 17 or 18 then. Yeah, it was a really good little start.
That's amazing. And from then you've like come so far. Like, I just realized on Far Country, one of my friends, Barry, he was the DP on it, and he's not returning this year, sadly. And the script supervisor, Geneviève.
Yes, I know Geneviève.
Yes. When I was living in Paris, she came and stayed with me in my apartment, in my small little studio apartment. And then I went with her and her family. They had a little houseboat, and we went around France, like driving. So I was like, okay. I'm like, I know people who work on Far Country. Nice. What was that experience like? That's a very exciting show.
Yeah, that was a great experience, actually. We had the episode was the fire. Basically, the fire hall gets called to a barn that was burning, and there was a bunch of horses inside. And my father passed away, so I inherited the barn and the horses. And so one of the horses wasn't coming out, so we had to get a couple of firefighters to come out and help pull the horse out. So we had this big barn. A lot of it was CG, but we had sections of the barn that was actually like lit on fire, burning, and we had to pull the horse out. And
Really?
And then I couldn't find my daughter, and there was a whole other part of the scene. But
so how was the
really cool
horse
to
when
see
he
the
was
barn.
filming with the fire?
So we had an actual horse inside, beautiful horse, lovely. And we just kind of cheated it. We just cheated. We had the horse inside.
And he was super calm.
He was,
Wow.
Yeah, he was very obedient. Like they had the whip going up, and so he would go up, come back down, come back down, come back, up, down, up, down. I'm supposed to be pulling on the reins, and yeah, he was great. Like he was just so well trained. It was amazing.
Wow.
So we had sequences of the barn burning, the horse was there, and he's just cool, calm, collected. Yeah, I've done this. This horse has been on, I think, 10 sets, 10 or somebody said 10,
I love
10
horses.
sets or something like that. He was a pro. He was a pro. It was amazing. Yeah. So we had him. I think there was one other horse. I didn't get to see him, but it was a really cool sequence to see the whole barn burning with a horse, fire. We had a whole bunch of fire gags going on. We had the back part of the barn that was being lit on fire. It was great. It was a really fun episode, actually.
And that show is
Yeah.
doing really well.
Really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max Serio, he's the lead. He's also one of the creators of it, one of the writers on it, one of the executive producers on it. Yeah, really talented guy. Yeah, very, very talented. So good on him. Yeah, the show, I had a blast on it. It was great.
How do you, I mean, like, I know this is such a generic question to ask, but like, after, for example, you booked a job, what do you go through emotionally? Like, you know,
the highs and lows?
Yeah. Like, whether you get offered something, audition for something, you book this job, and then what are the feelings? For example, our Altered Carbon, which had so much hype behind it. There was, they had these internal rain towers and, Fire Country, big audience, massive fan base, like all these people tweeting and everything. So you book a job like that. What do you go through personally? And then how do you prep?
I just kind of think of me and how am I going to do the best job I can. I don't really think about the hype of the show or how big the show is. When I did Altered, the book was out, obviously, and I went through the book. And then when I got to set, I don't think I realized how big it was until after we finished shooting and after it kind of came out, really. So I think that helped in a way where I wasn't kind of caught up in like, oh my God, this is so big, because then I would have probably, can I do this? You know what I mean? So I think that it wasn't as big in my head as it probably was after, but I just try and focus on, okay, well, I just do my homework. What am I doing? What's everyone else doing? Okay, now how do I make these choices here? How do I do the best job that I can do? Because that's what I'm hired for. I'm hired to do a job. I don't want to worry about other people's jobs. Mind your own business kind of thing. So you just do you. Just do what you possibly can do. The best version of you can give to people. So I don't.
What does your prep look like? What does your prep look like? Is that you, like, after your booking? Like, is that you just working? Do you, I don't know.
If I find out that I've booked a gig, it's fun. It's great. It's very satisfying. Of course, your ego's like, yeah, okay, I worked hard. I booked it. It's great. It's the same thing, I think, with most jobs. When you put the work into it and they tell you, hey, this is going to be yours now. It's like, okay, great. Little sigh of relief. I put the work in. If you're not over prepared, you're not prepared. So when I do find out I booked something, it's like, okay, great, awesome. Now I can put the real work into it. Now I can really, when you get the script or you get your side specifically, if you don't get the full script, and just work it, grind it, grind it, grind it. If you're not over prepared, you're not prepared. It's like the number one thing I've learned. So yeah, I would say that's my go-to, is just really work on that. Stay home on the weekends, just focus on the work. Sometimes you have a turnaround of, a week by the time you book, by the time you go in for a wardrobe fitting, you give all your stats. Sometimes you're on like in a week, so it's like you don't have time to like go out and party and celebrate, which I don't really think a lot of people do that anymore. That's like an old school mentality. I just try and head down and just kind of go right through it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Have there been moments that you were on set and you've had this realization of like, wow, I'm like really doing this.
All
Like
the time.
I'm like
all the time.
I'm like proud of myself. Like I am this you know, it's just like
when you have an idea and
Yeah.
you put it out there.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, wow, I can really aim this thing.
This is like really
And it's
happening. Yeah.
Yes. I was just on a show, Billy the Kid, out in Calgary last year. We were shooting that. And all of us, literally all of us, were sitting on horses and carriages, and we're on location, and we're just looking out. And the scenery is epic. It's absolutely stunning. There's a reason why they shoot in Alberta, for a reason. Like it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. And we're just sitting there, and we're just like, pinch me. Like, is this real? Like, is this like I'm getting paid to do this? Like real talk. Like this is like I'm getting paid to do what I love, and this is beautiful. I'm not like laying on some wet concrete ground with the rain. You know, that's part of the biz too. But like, I was just like, wow, this. You know, you put it out there, and you know, you have your vision boards and your journals, and that's what I do. And I just put it out there. You know, you write and you do your thing, and then you close it up, and then you know, you move on with your day, and then slowly, like the universe is like working with you in harmony. You know what I mean? It's understanding what you're putting in there. You know, it might not happen today, next week. It doesn't matter. You don't have to know about that, but as long as you know is you're putting the work in, and then when it happens, you're like, wow, okay. It can, you know, the universe has your back. You know, it wants to work with you. You know, not for you, not against you. It wants to work with you, like in harmony. And I've learned that over the years to just, you know, relax. You can only do so much. You have to do your part, and then the universe has to like do its part. You know, it's a fine line, massive fine line. And it's taken me a long time to realize that, but it helps. It really does help. Otherwise, you're always like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And it's like, okay, you can only do so much. You got to kind of put it aside, you know, and just, you know, it's like if your car is broken, you know, and you're not a mechanic, and you take it to the mechanic, you're like, okay, I want to get under the hood. It's like, well, no, you're kind of disrupting the mechanic's job. Just go over here, let the mechanic do its thing, and then the car will be ready. Just breathe. It's okay.
I love that.
A weird analogy, but you know what I mean.
No, it's a great analogy. It's the yin and yang.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we have the daytime and the nighttime. You do the work, then you have to rest. And you rest not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. Are you even going to wake up?
Totally.
You know,
100%.
or what shape or whatever way you're going to wake up tomorrow. I think that is a great analogy. I love the photos I saw from your Billy the Kid, like some of those, the costumes and everything.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen
Amazing.
like the very older Western Billy the Kid many years ago. I grew up in Pakistan watching like all these classic Turner, TNT, MGM. Yeah. And that's kind of how I learned English.
So, that's great. That's awesome.
So when that's congratulations. And some of the photos and costumes. And I think you're sitting by a piano, like that looked really. So tell us about that experience.
They're very authentic. Like they're wool, silk, heavy, like true authentic fabric, none of the polyester stuff, none of that stuff. Corsets, tight, just cinching corsets, you know what I mean? But it's like posture, keeps you upright. Minimal makeup, you know, minimal products in the hair, like very natural, which it's nerve-wracking, but I respect.
Because
I
it's
really
real.
Do.
It makes
it's real. It's authentic,
you
know. So I love period pieces. I love going into a world that's, you know, not current, even if it's like, you know, 1990s period pieces. It's just fun to make believe.
Can you believe 1990s?
I know, people are like, that's far. I was like, I see some of the clothes in the shop, and I'm like, I used to have that. I still have that. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Or even all those purses, like, you know,
the little tiny ones with the little straps. Oh my gosh, it was like Britney Spears when she had her one music, what was it? I can't remember.
MTV Movie Awards or something.
Or Paris Hilton's, where they were traveling, the show,
Simple Life,
you know, the whole wardrobe. I had all of that stuff, and now it's coming back, and I'm like, oh my god.
I wish I kept it. I know it completely. Or even like the slouchy bags. I'm like, are the bigger slouchier bags? I'm like, Oh my God, I used to have those
Totally,
ones, and they're
yeah,
totally
Blue
gone.
Notes and all the stores. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. But the wardrobe that we have is it's beautiful in a way that it really makes you feel like you're in that period of time. But it also makes you feel, especially for when I put it on, I feel like my posture is brought into how she would carry herself, how she would speak. It's really interesting. You put a pair of stilettos on, your body's going to change. You put a pair of running shoes on, your body's going to change. And it's just interesting how wardrobe can do that.
100%.
And I just love it. I love it. It's fun.
It's so interesting. Even as I was like packing today, like what I'm wearing for like each of the interviews, and I'm like, okay, we have this person coming on who's got all these action movies. We have like Charles and like, you know, and when I'm
you're
getting
thinking about it,
completely thinking, because every person has the different energy, and especially like if I've interviewed one person like once on a red carpet, or Charles or just like happened to walk into the store a week or two ago, you know, and you want to be a little bit on their kind of wavelength. And even for me, it's like I could be having a bad day, and if all I have to do is put on some mascara and blush, on a day-to-day I don't really like to wear foundation, but it just like opens my eyes. And then if I'm wearing if I'm wearing a dress compared to jeans or compared to my yoga tights, it's a very different vibration.
I agree completely. It just changes how you feel about yourself. You know, you take pride in yourself, right? So when you change it up a little bit, whether it's, you know, flats, stilettos, boots, or whatever, you know, long coat, it alters a little bit of your energy, I would say, that day, which I think is amazing. Like in the back of your mind, you know, how clothing, fashion, wardrobe, textures, you know, it can do that. I think it's amazing.
I feel like that's why I'm also really into fashion, other than the fact that
because you do a lot of red carpets for fashion shows.
I do, and then I work a lot with designers like here and in Paris when I lived there. And more than wearing the clothes, I like understanding the mindset of the designer and their love for what they create. So when I'm wearing something, I'm wearing an art piece that 100%. Is made, you know, especially when I work with couturiers and whatnot, it's just like a different, that heart connection, because you know, this is the hand beating and the this and that, and in Paris there was a lot of that, so I felt so blessed
to
be
exposed to all that.
It's just like a different world, because my home country is kind of same. You don't really go and buy clothes like in stores. You buy the fabric, and then a seamstress will come over and they fit it to your body, or you go to the seamstress's place and I want it to look like this, the V-neck or the round, or, you know, it's the specific styles, but everything is made to you, custom to you.
So with that being said, then, in Pakistan, are there any fashion designers?
There are. There's certainly, because, you know,
because you made it sound like everyone kind of is a fashion. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
No, but there are lots of designers, and especially because there we want to be more like here, you know, where it's like you go to the store and like, oh, this fits you from the hanger. You know, it's just like you get it from there. I wanted to talk about like how lit up you got talking about period pieces.
Oh,
you know, and and talking about the Billy the Kid experience, because, you know, the fact that that story's been told so many times, and I think I probably didn't lock that door properly. It's probably my fault that it's beeping so much. That story has been told so many times. That movie's been, you know, You know, did you feel any pressure going into that? Like, what was that like for you?
Because I'm portraying a woman based off reality, Susan McSween, I went into it thinking, okay, and I still do, I want to represent the best version of her possible, the truthful version of how she was, and just show the story of her side of the story and how she carried herself. There was a book that I bought, Champlain, I believe is the author's name, and she talked about her upbringing, her childhood, how she was raised. She didn't have the greatest upbringing, and why she did certain things. she came from a background, a little bit of piano, and she had like poise, and she carried herself in a certain way.
And that's a picture of you with, okay.
Yeah, so I tried to like think of all of, all these little traits that she has, and all these habits that were all, like, written down. People carried, documents over time in New York and Philadelphia, where she was at, and when she moved across into the plains, there was documentation of it. So I tried to like take it and just, I'm still doing it because we're still shooting, but I'm trying to take it and just really be true to who she was. There's my version, and then there's her version, and then there's the TV version. So it's finding all three that works, but that's from my mind, the best version of being Susan McSween. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So it's a balance, and I'm still figuring out. Like, I don't have it down pat. I'm still figuring it out, and I just want to execute it as correctly as possible in a intriguing way. I still want it to be interesting, but I don't want it to be, I want it to be truthful. Yeah.
Do you find yourself reaching more out for like some, because now corsets are also back in style.
They are back in, I don't know how, but they are.
Do you remember in like the early 2000s, like everyone was like, I wore like the corset and jeans and the low.
And it was sheer, and then you would have the low 1-inch zipper. Oh yeah, I remember that. I didn't buy the corset, but I saw it in the store. But I definitely had the low 1-inch jeans. But oh God, I think Christina Aguilera set that trend, or somebody in the music industry, I think, set that trend with the corset, had the ribbing that came up with the sheer look, with the low jeans, and the belt, the big belt buckle. Do you remember that?
That was my like club go-to look.
With the boots, the stiletto boots zipped up, and the little tiny purse.
It's the J-Lo, Christina Aguilera, like all of
J-Lo
that.
Had it too. Yeah.
So it sounds like now, after doing your pure piece, you're ready to get into maybe on a red carpet. Okay, maybe we would have to see that.
I know. I have to every time when I put it on and we break for lunch. They're like, "Do you want us to take you out?" And I'm like, "Nope, absolutely not," because I'm not going to get back in.
Wow.
Because it's literally just clipped, or it's cinched to the back with I don't want to say rope, but it's cinched in, and then the front, they're like the clips that go all the way up. But I feel like once you unclip it, it's just like a whale, just like.
You are.
You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my gosh, okay, all right, done. Okay, now you gotta, after you eat a meal, you're shoving your meal in. You got, all right, 20 minutes, and then you gotta cinch it back. It's not fun. So you learn to like smoothies a lot. You get a good Tupperware container, and you get your lunch to go.
Yeah, it makes me think of the scene from Titanic where.
Oh, and they're cinching her?
Yeah, they're just, she's like tighter.
Actually, you're just. There's a scene in another period piece, Little Women, the original, with Susan Sarandon, and I think it's Meg. Meg is going away for like an evening dance or something, and they're cinching her up. And she's like holding on, and she's holding on, and they're just like cinching her. And I think one of the girls in the background, passes out because they're just like going so hard. But it's true, a lot of women used to pass out. They used to have a pole they used to stand on. Or they would have also like the bed poles. They would come in and they hold on to it, like literally, and then you'd have to put your hands down because you don't want to have your rib cage higher when they're cinching.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad we don't have to wear that.
They used to have hooks and hook them. Hook. Oh, it's crazy.
God.
Yeah, but the boots, everything that we're wearing is all made
authentic.
Made from scratch. Like the leather boots that I have are like, I would love to wear them after the show. They're made to my foot, like a glove, but a boot.
You're like, this is in my contract.
Yeah, I would like the boot. They're beautiful. There's like 60 hooks all the way up.
Wow.
They're stunning.
It's kind of hot.
Yeah. They're stunning. Like, they're beautiful. Like the craftsmanship in it is amazing. You must have been exposed to amazing pieces like that when you were in Paris.
Yes, I feel very, very grateful. And some of them I got to keep.
Yeah.
One that I will never forget. And it's interesting forging those relationships with the designers, because I would just sort of like what happened here, but Charles the Store, I would just like find someone through social media or like a atelier or whatever, and now those friendships are like, forever, and they are sometimes very kind. They gift me pieces, or they'll be like, "Oh, you look good," and it's also about appreciating the art, right? Like it's like if it's just like something that you just
throw away.
Versus like I think I and also like doing several different shows and bringing them and sharing their stories, and they're like, wow, like you really like care and you want to know about us and the process, and
there's a genuine interest.
Yeah. So I felt really, really, and it's a different world, right? Like going from like living in Vancouver to moving to Paris, and it's interesting because people can have a judgment about Paris here, but everyone also does struggle there. There is like the luxury side of it, and then there's the real life
that nobody really wants to probably discuss, talk about, or showcase.
Exactly. So no, I felt really blessed, and I was just recently there again, and I get to like borrow things and wear them to Fashion Week and promote some designers, but also like Canadian designers and then French ones, and I love meeting people who are so dedicated to their craft, and then you get to know them, their personalities, their quirks, and I'm very fascinated. I think that's my natural thing of like, I realize like I love talking to people, and I feel so blessed that, StoryHive and TELUS gives me this opportunity to meet people like you who are doing these things, who are following their path, and whose eyes are shining bright and lit up, and it also, in today's world, it brings the work that you do when you're talking about, these characters, because I'm sure so many people who are not in the industry, they're watching, a show like Altered Carbon or Billy the Kid or, Batwoman, any other shows. They don't know the amount of like I remember, because Batwoman was filmed here, and like I had friends who were working in crew, and they're telling me, because they'd be downtown and like the nights, and every time I'd go past the art gallery, and it was like the long days, and I was like, I don't envy these, when it's outdoors raining and all the work that goes into that it's the blood, sweat, and tears of the cast and crew, not just the tell us about
well, I was going to say, sorry, I was going to say, it's exactly like what you were saying earlier, like when you have like the idea and it works and it clicks, and you're like, I get to do this for a job. Like the fact that you get to host and host all over the world, and you're doing like you're in the industry that you love, like it must click for you and be like, wow, this is amazing. The fact that I can like have my bills paid by doing something I love, by the fact I can drive a car, I can do this, mortgage, rent, whatever. Like it's amazing that we get to have this opportunity. And
it's and of course we go through the ups and downs, but this year has been, I feel like, been a big blessing, and I think I love having these conversations even before like not filming, and being around people, and having like this book like Napoleon Hill, and he talks about having your tribe, I forget what is, the mastermind, it's like, and being around people who, like recently, someone I brought on the show, and then we're talking about, possibly either doing a podcast or this and that, and then it's like turning into, why don't we do like a travel pilot, and then I'm messaging my camera guy, because we're thinking of like Julian, and I'm like, having the energy of people we like working around, and it's like this person who I started going to help coaching with auditions, and and then all of a sudden, how ideas come together. And when you were saying the universe, like Charles was literally sitting in the same seat and talking about the rejection letters and talking about universe, and he's like, when you say something, then there's a hole in the universe for this thing to happen. And it's pretty much what you were saying. So I love hearing that from individuals, that what is your thought process like, especially when it comes to rejection, because as an actor, as a working performer, like how do you, especially when your skin is really in the game, when you're like, man, I'm for sure I did a really like good job here. Like this was so on it. Like I'm so like, I see myself being on set.
Yeah, you envision it.
And like, you know, like getting called to set and like, you know, in the character and the hair and makeup, I am this.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those this year, and then when I don't even get a call back, and I'm like,
I know it's hard to not take it personal when the whole thing is personal. It's you, so it's so hard to not take it personal.
When people say don't take it personally, have a thick skin.
What
does that mean? What is that?
But I've learned though, just do your work, just do you. You have your control of what you can do. At the end of the day, you can't control the judgment, the opinion of what other people are coming their way towards you or their expectation. So you have to do your work and then just walk away. Walk away. Don't, you know, hang the coat up. Just walk away. You can't let it itch away and peck at you. Otherwise you'll go insane. You'll go absolutely insane. You did the best version of what you can show them how you're, you know, say for like a hosting position that you want to do or for an audition, you did how you were going to do it. It might not be in line with what they're looking for, but that's okay. You did a good job. You did a good job. And it's just reminding yourself like, I did the homework. I did everything I possibly could. All right, walk away. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy, and it's not something that you just like click. I got it overnight. It's like, no, it takes a while for that to register in your head. It's like one of these beautiful pieces of art, you know. I might be looking for a rooster. That's not the rooster I'm looking for. I'm looking for something different, but that's beautiful, but that's not it. Same thing, you know. You put an audition down on tape, you're like, that's great. It's not what we're looking for, but that's beautiful. That's a really good job. And you just got to learn to just separate yourself from being offended. And, you know, like, I've done this for so long. It's like you have to still find the joy in it. You still have to find the love in it. Otherwise, once that's gone, what are we doing? Why are you here? What's your game plan? You know, you still have to find the love in it, the joy in it. And find other things, too, on the side that make you happy, you know? I feel like everybody just puts their everything into, like, the one category. You know, it's like, it's okay to branch out and try other things. It's totally okay, especially nowadays, you know, when it's like, you know, stick of celery is $5 and milk is like $15. It's like you have to find another avenue as well. Yeah. You know, find something that you're gonna love. You know?
I think like maybe 5-10 years ago it was almost like, okay, just do one thing, versus now I found like in LA it was totally normal that someone's an actor, they're also a writer, they own a talent agency, and they're doing multiple different things. Yeah. And like back then I was also doing PR. You know, I was working with actors, but something inside of me, I was afraid of promoting myself as a PR person when I'm also a performer, I'm a TV host and an actor, and I'm doing these other things, because I was like, well, what are all these other PR people going to think? Who are you? Totally, am I going to still 100%. Get invited to these
you're
events?
Afraid of the judgment of it. Yes.
They're like, you know.
That's the norm, though.
So my critic,
like that, you know,
my critic, and so that's what I want to ask you, because my critic, I've had to, you know, like lately.
Your internal critic.
Internal critic, yes. Where I do the thinking for the other people. When, you know, we don't even know. They're probably not, they don't care.
We're
but, you know,
worst critic.
But this is like, this is so loud. So what I've been doing recently is like, I do it on and off, but like, especially the last couple of weeks, is committing to journaling daily and writing affirmations.
Yes.
Like affirmations, I do like daily gratitude for the last 5-6 years. Like it's been like a daily thing that I do. And even if I'm like kind of upset or I don't even feel it, and like, you know, like, like someone was like, so I started into, and it's kind of funny that even sometimes when I'm doing these affirmations, it triggers things inside of me. And like, so I would love to, but I've heard and it's proven, like, you know, so many therapists and so many books and everything that the self-talk, what is your self-talk like? So being an artist, being a performer, and I think that being an athlete is probably, you're very connected to your body, you know, that you're able to like maybe move some of those thoughts out, because I know through physical activity there's something magical that happens. But I would love to hear, what is your self-care process look like? Like, what are your
I'm
days
I'm
like?
very aligned with actually how you are, like the journaling, the self-affirmations. So I do find that when I take care of myself, and I kind of like what I was saying earlier, I can only do so much. I have to let the universe kind of do the rest of the work. Do you know what I mean? But meditation is a big one for me as well, and just let it sink in, let it sit. But as for what I do, I feel like when I write about it, and I'm being specific but not at the same time, because the universe also will throw you some things that you're like, oh wow, totally didn't expect that. I didn't think of that. That's an interesting perspective. So I try and write things that I'm doing, but as if it's already happened in the future. I loved, so for example, yesterday I would have been like, I had a fabulous conversation with Zara. It was great. I had a great latte after around the corner. I enjoyed our chit chat. It was great. As if it's already happened. So moving forward, you're putting it already out there. I love that I went to Paris. I love that I got a complimentary ticket to see the Eiffel Tower. I love that I sat at a table, had a croissant and a café au lait. How I envisioned it, put it out there as if it's already happened.
Do you speak French?
I don't.
But
My husband does.
You're not like I'm always like croissant. I don't speak French. I don't speak French, and when you were like café au lait, I was like, oh.
No, my husband speaks French. Here and there.
But I heard the
little bit. Okay,
yeah.
It's a French Canadian.
Yeah,
people in Paris would be like.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because
That's a big one. That's a big one. I would say write it as if it's already happened. That is a big one for me. And just write daily. Just write daily. And even if people are like, oh, I don't want to be positive today, that's okay. You don't have to be. You don't have to always be in a chipper, high mood. Write how you feel. Be authentic. It's just for yourself. Nobody's looking at this little book. No one's looking. Going through your journal. Just write about it. It helps to be positive. It helps to write as if it's already happened in a positive way for yourself to see it and envision it. But I always like to be like, I love this, I did this, I love this. And I'm telling you, I don't know what it's not science, I can't tell you, but there's something with the universe. It wants to work with you. It wants to work with you. It wants to be in harmony with you. Doesn't want to fight you. But just try putting it out there and see what happens. I don't know, it's just, it's a different approach that I've learned over the years, and it helps. It's a different angle.
I love that, and I really appreciate you sharing that, and especially like with the success that you've had. And I think like to book work and have success is one thing, but to have peace,
to let go.
Yeah,
that's
excuse me to say this, and I'm gonna say it right here, but like literally as soon as you walked in, I was like, wow, like you just had a natural effortlessness about you of like just connecting. And I've interviewed a lot of actors, like I'm an actor as well.
Yes.
And and like sometimes we have actors where it's like the actor has arrived, but there seems to be, you seem very at peace and you seem happy, because I think that's a different level of success. And I feel like that's a lot of the internal. I know we're getting deep in here,
spiritual,
but yes,
guys.
This is
spiritual.
Yeah. Well, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a former yoga teacher. It's like,
don't apologize.
Yeah,
it's gonna read
the
on
woo woo
you,
is gonna. It always comes in.
It's good.
So,
I agree. I totally agree. How the energy around you. Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yes.
No, that's and it literally, like from your smile and to everything, and I can imagine that. I'm sure I hear this from directors, I hear it from people like all the time, that they want to work with people who have good energy, because
absolutely,
you can have someone who is talented, but to have someone who has great energy, who are good to the crew.
And that can change the dynamic on a set like that. I 100% agree.
Do you get that feedback? Do people like say that to you, that they love working with you when you're on set?
You're being very sweet and very kind, I will say. People haven't been as bold and as complimentary, but yes, I think I just also like to joke a lot, and then people are like, okay, like you're fun.
You're
kind of
fun.
thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've heard that, which is, you know, a massive compliment. But at the same time,
but it also makes sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
It makes their job easy because
just
when
gonna say
a
that, it
grip
does.
or a sound guy or like a
Yes.
boom op and you're
Even
there,
their positions,
you're
when they're in
cracking
good energy,
jokes.
yes.
You're just like, man, she's on set. Like we're gonna be having fun. We're gonna be laughing.
I'm telling you, that goes a long way. I work with a good friend of mine quite often, and she works on a series of movies, and she brings such a positive energy on every single movie she goes on to. And she's even said, she's like, I might not be their number one pick or this, that, but I get booked consistently because of my positive energy. And I'm like, 100%. And she does do very well. Like she's very talented. She's just being humble, but I see it. Like I'm literally on set with her and I see it and I'm like, you bring a good energy and people feed off that, whether that you want to acknowledge it or not. People feed off good energy, people feed off bad energy, and people can see it and people can feel it more than anything. So when you bring that I want to call it a power because it is, to a birthday party, a gathering, a movie theater, wherever, you're going to attract people or you're going to push people away. So in this industry where it's all about the business and bookings and how your Instagram following and this and that, how hot you are, it's like, yeah, sure, push that a step. At the end of the day, are you nice to like be around? Like real talk. Like, are you fun? Are you nice? Are you a nice person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
or
that's
are you just
number
here
one.
to be like, look at this?
Totally. Are you here to
Versus
just sell something
like,
or advertise
yeah.
something? It's like, or are we here to like, you know,
Yeah.
how's it really going?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I feel like people are paying more attention to that just because there's so many more people on social media. There's so many more products being sold. There's so many more companies advertising this, that. At the end of the day, if you're not approachable, at the end of the day, if you're not kind, people read that. And I feel like that goes a long way. You know, kind of like back to what our grandparents taught us, you know, like be kind, you know. It's old school, but it makes sense.
The simple things, and that's truly what counts. Yeah. I know we're wrapping up here shortly. Have you had, I know you've had several of those moments, but a moment on set that you were like, you mentioned on Billy the Kid, but you know, if someone you were working opposite that you were like, oh my God, is this real? Is this a dream? Somebody pinched me. Like, I can't believe I'm working opposite this person on this set. Like, the gods have answered my prayers.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I get those waves of individual people here and there, and I think it changes on what movie I've just recently watched. Like, I just watched Wolf of Wall Street, and I was like, I would love to work with Leo. Like, let's be real. Like, he would be fun. And then I saw Flowers of the Moon.
Killer Moon.
Killer Moon. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a heavy film. But I would love to work with him. But obviously, there's like, you know, the female empowerment women out there, Meryl, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like it kind of comes in waves. Yeah, I always love to just work with people who are just inspiring in general. Yeah, I'm not like set on somebody specific or a director that's specific. It kind of comes, and you're like, oh wow, and you get to do this, and you're like, oh, that was a really fun conversation. That was a really interesting person. You know, so I'm not too specific. I just literally thought of Leonardo DiCaprio because I just watched Wolf of Wall Street, which is hilarious.
And that's amazing. And I'm meaning to watch The Killers of the Flower Moon
movie. Yes.
I love asking people. I know this is like a very kind of big and broad question.
Oh, let's hear it.
What inspires them? Like, what inspires them in life? What gets you going?
It's funny because I was on set recently, and I just was like literally doing nothing. I was standing in the back. I think I had a sandwich in my hand, and I was like, I love being on film. Or like being on set, on a film set. Like I just love the factory of it all. Like it's just, you can't, like some people have the rush when they work in the ER. They just love it. They love the adrenaline, the hit of it, you know, in, out, going, you know, working on people, saving people's lives. You can describe it to a point, but at the end of the day, there's like just something that you thrive off of. I just thrive off of being on a set, and it's fun and it's satisfying, and you're being creative. There's a technical part of it that I love. There's also like the part that, you know, like the secret side of film that I'm still like learning here and there, from like special effects, you know what I mean, like little things that, I don't know, it's just,
you're like a kid in a candy store, like even as you're describing it, I can see
it's
like
fun. And I don't even have to be really in a scene, but I could just be like standing there, sandwich in hand, very common for me, and just being like, this is great. I'm inspired by just watching other people work and perform, and I love learning how other people do that process. I was working with a young director recently on a show here, and just watching her give notes to another actor, I was like, the way her verbiage of it was very small, but so specific. It was beautiful to watch her just take her time, describe what she wanted. The actor did it, executed it beautifully, and I was like, wow, it was a really nice moment that I got to kind of slightly witness. But yeah, I just, as for inspire and be creative, I think just being in the game of it is, I get more and more inspired and creative as I read more scripts and I meet more people, and I get to like chat with different departments, you know? Like sometimes I'll just go to like the sound people and just be like, hey, there's a radio game, you know, it's called Name That Sound. Do you know what the sound would be? And I would just like start talking with them, and they would, you know, on the radio, they'd play a sound, and so I would record it sometimes, and then you just have a conversation like, oh, it sounds like a rubber band being, you know, whatever. And then you just have a conversation for like 40 minutes. And you're like, oh, gotta go, but it was great chatting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes
probably
you just meet
made their
people.
day. Yeah, probably like made their day too. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm literally,
I was gonna say, what about for you?
Like what inspires me?
Yeah.
To be honest, like this.
Yeah.
I just love like talking to people. I love having them like open up to me and being able to share it with the audience. And I think it's also, in a weird way, kind of someone opening the curtain.
Right.
And giving them a chance to like share their story and really digging deep. And there is, I want to use the word voyeuristic experience,
okay.
but like, you know, it's like even as you take me and you're telling me about the sound and this and that, and I'm like transported, like, you know, and I love not just like of course I've done the red carpets, I've done like other shows and stuff, but I love the one-on-one sitting down, and I'm that kind of person. Like I can go to a big party, but I'm more of a
in the corner, tucked away, having a conversation.
And like going deeper with people. And I think I want to talk about like what you're going through. I want to talk about how you overcame that, and because that's how I get inspired. And you know, it's sort of, my first production company was called Inspired Life, and you know, it was all about like inspire comes from the spirit, like the Latin word where it's like intuitive. Yes, voila. Yeah. And yeah, I'm very fascinated by people who follow their heart, who follow their calling, who listen, and to have these conversations and then to be able to share it with an audience.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's beautiful. That's really, it's truthful, I would say. Yeah, I can definitely connect with you on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Lovely
to meet you. I'm going to give you like a real hug soon. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to watch Billy the Kid because I feel like I'm going to have some flashbacks, like watch it with my family over the holiday. I mean, it's Billy the Kid.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Okay, yay.
So there's 4 episodes that have been released already, just right before we had our break for the strike. So episode 1, 2, 3, 4 have been released, and then we go back and we're shooting the rest of the season. And I
can get Paramount Plus on my Amazon because
yes,
I have the Prime. I have all the streamers, you know, so I can click on that. Like, yes, so it'll be the holiday fun. We're really into Westerns because I grew up with all boys, so we're just like they're into all that kind of stuff.
Westerns are great. I love it. I love it. Even before then, there was an old movie called Shane, I believe I used to watch with my grandma, and so it was kind of my first intro into it. But yeah. But thank you so much. This was fun.
It was my pleasure. I know you have to run, but I would love for our doggos to like meet sometime and like go on a doggo.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you guys felt inspired, make sure to let us know. Look out for this beautiful, talented Canadian actress, Lisa Chandler, on Billy the Kid. Also, if you see her in any of the other shows, make sure to tweet out, Instagram out, and let us know what you thought of the interview today. Until next time, I'm your host, Zara Durrani, and once again, the show is produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.